can just unhook the one side and probably slip the battery out.
Yes.
I gotta go get a 3/8 ratchet to take those spark plugs out. Alright, so we're gonna attempt to crank this engine over for the first time in years, so just to be on the safe side, we'll take these spark plugs out and I'll spray just a little bit of lube down in the cylinders.
Wait, how many spark plugs do these have?
Two.
It's a 2-cylinder, two spark plugs.
Do they look good? Are these new spark plugs?
They're not that old.
Yeah, they don't look that bad.
Well, this engine was rebuilt not long before I stopped using it, so it doesn't have a lot of hours on the new pistons and rings, relatively speaking. Alright, so we're going to try and crank the engine over. Don't know where the keys are for this right now, but as luck would have it, this is such a basic key that they used on these that I can actually stick this small blade screwdriver in there and turn the ignition on. So I've got the spark plugs out. I'm going to leave the plugs out so that it cranks a little bit easier, and we'll get a little bit of squirt of lubricant down in there. If this even turns over at all. Nothing, I'm not surprised. Alright, so on the other side here I got some wires disconnected. I remember the other day when we first pulled this out, I was trying to remember why I had these wires hanging out the side here, and it occurred to me, I think I remember now, that these wires actually go up to the module that controls all the safety switches and everything, and I think these actually go to what used to be the seat switch wiring. So the wiring used to go down to the seat switch, used to come up through a grommet here and go into the bottom of the seat. So you had to be sitting on the tractor. So I bypassed the seat switch here. The reason why I have these wires disconnected is because if there's a battery in the tractor and the seat switch, if I just left these connected all the time, what happens is as long as there's a battery in the tractor, I think the hour meter would run and it would run down the battery. So I'm just going to have to grab some strippers and strip this back so I can get a connection here. And then hopefully, then it'll turn over. Alright, so I twisted these wires together and nothing seemed to happen. I'm thinking, I didn't think it was going to start, so then I put the key in, or my makeshift key, twisting it, nothing's happening. I guess I shouldn't be surprised, because usually when I think when I put these wires together, you can actually usually hear an audible click up here, one of the relays engaging. The fact that it's doing absolutely nothing.
Maybe the battery's in wrong.
The battery's not in wrong. The only thing it could be is it could be the battery is dead. I don't even know how charged this battery was. I mean, it had some charge to it, but it should still have some charge to it. So I'm going to go get a test light, and we're going to have to do some troubleshooting. I was going to get a test light, and then I had my meter handy, so I decided to just grab that instead. So for starters, we'll go right to the battery and see what we're dealing with. And we're dealing with a pretty low battery. Huh. Well, that's not good. All right, let's get the battery charger over here with an extension cord. Alright, so the last time this tractor was running, the kids were pretty little, and they used to like to sit on it and play around and play with the switches and stuff. So, for instance, the knob here for the rear PTO is broken off. I don't remember that being that way. The knob here for the front PTO, that was just now, it was not all the way out, but it wasn't all the way in. It was about halfway, and it was stuck. Because being halfway out allowed rain and everything to rust that. So I just hit a little PV blaster in there, and now this switch is working. But if this PTO switch was pulled, even part way, that could have been killing everything. There's also a neutral safety switch on this thing, and I'm looking at this lever and it doesn't look like the lever's in the right position. Oof.
Doesn't sound good to you?
Not really. So So the problem is I don't remember, it's all worn off here. I don't even remember what's what on this thing. But I think, see, I could see the switch down there. I think this is, there's a switch down there. This is probably reverse. This is probably forward. So this all the way back here is probably park. That's probably what you need to have it in.
They mark and hold it back here.
Well, I shouldn't have to hold it, but that linkage is pretty. Nope. None of that's working. So I just pulled up this cover. I was going to check continuity on this switch that this thing was having trouble engaging. And then I looked at the wires and realized they go over to here and they're cut right off. And they're crimped. There's a connector in there and they're crimped together. So I already bypassed this switch. So that rules that out. I just happened to notice the hour meter is running. So we're getting power to the ignition system. So it's going to still be either a safety switch lockout or something. I think there's a module in here that all of those switches go to. I actually don't remember. I might be getting this confused with the John Deere. Anyways, alright, so I just pulled this plug off of the PTO switch, the one that was halfway in and out. And these connections are really rusty. So I was going to check the continuity on the switch, but I got a feeling by the looks of the rust on the connections there that even if I get continuity, I'm going to have to clean it up. So I'm going to use my little continuity checker here, which beeps, so I don't have to look right at the meter to see it working. And see if we can't figure out how this switch is supposed to work. This is probably a double pole switch. So I would say, let's see, this says pull for power. So if it's in, that's probably no continuity. And then if it's out, you see I'm getting nothing no matter what. Pull for front control implement power. It's only 2 positions. And the other reason I know it's not in the middle, that it wouldn't be like 3-position switch, is because there's only 2 connections on each pole. This is a double pole switch. It does 2 things. So in one of these positions, I should get continuity between here and here. And I don't at all, so unfortunately I think this switch is junk. Voila. Well, that's looking crusty.
Crusty, dusty.
Yeah. That does not look good. I will try and clean off the terminals though, and just try one more time. Okay, it took a minute to clean up these terminals. This switch is made, it actually says CLUM, C-L-U-M on it, made in the USA. It's probably a really well-made switch. Unfortunately, it's just got the weather and the elements has gotten to it. And there's no openings anywhere on this switch to get any kind of fluid in there, probably to keep water out. But I think water migrated along the shaft here. I did try and put some cleaner in there. I also worked the switch back and forth. Sometimes that'll have a cleaning action. So we'll see now if I can get a reading with this meter on the switch here. It sure looks like there's going to be a thunderstorm.
Yeah.
The sun is like gone. If I pull it, which is the on position, boy, I can't get continuity in this thing at all, no matter what. Oh, wait a minute, here we go. Continuity between the 2 pins there when this is pulled, and not when it's off. So let's see. So I bet when it's pushed in and the PTO is off, you're probably supposed to have continuity between these 2 rear pins.
You do.
They're not great though. There we go. Yep, now we do. Huh. All right. let's see whether or not we can't get something to happen now.
Why don't you just keep it on in case you need to take it out again?
I am going to keep it out. I'm just looking to make sure which way this goes. There we go.
There we go.
That's the PTO. And that's the PTO
And
off.
Look it, put it back on.
What?
And what does that mean?
What does it mean? It
Yeah.
means it's drawing current. Discharging the battery.
Yes.
The battery's low. There we go. It would crank right now except for one problem. The battery's too low. So, Mark,
Yeah.
on that starter charger,
Yeah.
go ahead and hit reset.
Where is the reset? Oh, yeah, right there.
See the button that says reset?
Press it.
Hold on. You see the button that says reset?
Yeah.
No. I'm having him do it. Press reset.
Yeah. How long do I hold it?
No, just press it and let it go.
Okay, done.
Got it?
Yeah.
All right. You see where it says engine start?
Yep.
Press that and let go. All right.
Yep.
Does it say ready? Does it say RDY?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we still get a bad connection, I think.
Are you sure you didn't pull it out yet?
Well, it's here at the battery more than likely. Shut that off.
How? Right here?
Yep. All right.
You didn't pull that out. Isn't that supposed to be pulled out?
Huh? That turns the PTO on. That'll definitely not crank. Watch. No. See? Not working, right? Pull it out. PTO on. Nothing at all because it's a safety feature,
Oh yeah.
right? You don't want the mower blades to start spinning the second it starts up. I think what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to wait for this battery to charge up some. All right, we charged the battery for a couple hours and it seems like it's got a charge. So we're going to give it another shot. See if it turns over.
I heard it try a little bit.
Yeah, that's kind of, I'm wondering if the starter's bad because
Where's the starter?
it seems like it's on that side somewhere. It's not on this side.
Is it like a flat?
It's probably behind, you see, it's in the front here. The flywheel's behind here. It's probably right underneath here.
You can take that off and bang it.
We could try tapping on it.
What's this, Daddy?
That's what? That's the ignition coil.
So this
No, we're not going to take that off now.
I mean, just see.
Aiden, we're not going to get into that now. We were just going to...
So it won't turn over?
No, and there's no easy way to put a wrench on this to try and turn it by hand either, just to see if it's stuck. You know what, Aiden? Put it on, let's do that engine start thing. Let's give it a little bit more juice and see what happens. It's not even drawing the kind of current I would expect.
Wait, hold it. Hold the key.
There's one other thing we can try.
What? Maybe key's bad.
Huh?
Key's bad. Maybe you can hotwire it.
No, it's not. No, that clicking noise you're hearing is the solenoid. So power's going to the starter motor, unless the solenoid itself is actually. You know what? That's the thing we should do. We should tap on that solenoid.
This?
Yeah.
Why do you need one of those?
It's a relay. It allows a very small switch like this ignition one to control a larger switch, which is inside the solenoid. When I turn this, the power goes to the solenoid, which is an electromagnet. The electromagnetic coil energizes and pulls up a metal plunger and closes these big contacts that carry the big current going to the starter.
So you can take that out?
Well, so if you take I don't normally like to do this because it makes a big spark and usually ends up damaging whatever tool you use to do it, but you can actually short this wire to, you can short these two lugs together and yeah, I don't want to use my
That's
punch.
a full metal thing.
Yeah, well, not only that, but I don't want a big arc on my punch. Big mess.
How about use a small screwdriver?
We need that for the key.
I got a junky old screwdriver we could probably use. All right, so I'm gonna try and get this piece of metal in there, short between the two lugs on that
Well, you get
on
hurt
that
if you do
solenoid. Huh?
Will you get hurt if you do that?
No, might jump because I'm jumpy.
Nothing.
I can't get to it easily the way it's in there. Yeah, it's not the solenoid necessarily.
What did it do to
That's
the
putting. It's just makes little burn marks on it. See. So
Starter.
either that or the engine's stuck.
Should we try it again?
No. Dad, what happened to that fan?
Blades broke off. All right, so I got a pipe wrench on the drive shaft, and it actually turns pretty easily. So the engine's not seized or stuck, which is good. I can turn it with my hands. Could have more than one problem here. Clicking noise is gone. It's not clicking anymore, which makes me wonder whether or not there's a problem with the solenoid.
What is the solenoid?
It's this thing right here. So it's just one wire going to the solenoid. So they must be using this as the ground. So let's see.
What's that wire right there that has these two holes?
Hmm?
What's that wire right there that has two holes?
That's for something else. Not used. Or it might be a test plug for like when they take back when they would get these serviced at the dealership. Maybe they would test them. Yeah, turn the key. The key.
Oh, the key.
So if that's a ground, where's the other wire that makes this solenoid work? If I had a wiring diagram, I could see how this solenoid is wired. So last thing we decided was that there was a problem with the starter for sure. So I've got to get the starter motor out. We're either going to have to replace it, or hopefully we can maybe take it apart and repair it. The starter motor is buried underneath this side of the engine. The only way to get the starter out, because there's no trap door to take off the bottom here, is to actually lift the engine up and unbolt it from the engine and get it out that way. So this motor is going to come out at least part way, if not all the way. And the starters, we got to get the front under here, the pulley and everything. We've got to get it to clear this. So if I recall, last time what I did was I took these screws out and was able to tilt this up far enough to get it out of the way without having to completely remove it. So for starters, Mark, we're going to have to unscrew these two big screws.
Okay, got a big screwdriver.
Yeah, sure, you can give it a shot. I don't
Is
know
there a bolt underneath it?
how- No, those should thread right into that metal there.
Can you help? I lost it. You knew that was happening.
Yeah, I knew it, but you just got done telling me, oh, you want to do all the things and this. And I was like, okay, logical.
Yeah.
Well, let me break the other one loose, and then you can do the two. So this one could be probably the same. Maybe even worse. That's like a little rusty. There you go. So you should be able to do it now.
Whoa. That's way easier now. Did you stop it?
Nope.
So
Just
you-
changing the angle because you were standing on that
Like in
side.
front of my screwing. Unscrewing.
Why, what's wrong with it? All right.
No, can't do that right now.
Yeah, well, you can actually, it's just probably stuck. Make the bolt this way. There you go. Pull up on it. That's it, because the muffler is underneath there the way it is. That's the only way you're going to be able to lift this up. Get this out of the way. Go ahead, put one of those screws, stick it in the other hole there so it doesn't get lost. I'll have to screw it all the way in just a few turns. Well, actually, you don't need that. All right, so now the other fun thing they did on this tractor, and the way they made it is the bolts that mount the motor in are actually under the whole tractor, and they stick up through the bottom of the tractor, go through a mount on the motor and into a little threaded plate that is like a square plate with threads in it that acts as a nut. And luckily that's the way it is, because otherwise, you know, if that was a nut on the other side, you wouldn't be able to get to it. The way this is made, you can't get in there.
So we have to use those orange lifts things?
No, you should be able to get to it from underneath here. They're just really hard to see. And actually, the two rear ones, they're in a hole that's a keyhole shape. So the idea is you loosen them and then you slide the motor back, and then you can lift them out. See if you look.
Oh yeah.
All right. So what Mark's doing now is he's taking off the steering linkage in the front here, because as we started to take those bolts in the bottom, try and loosen them, they just kept turning. So it occurred to me that, kind of came back to me, it's been a long time since I took this motor out. But I remember now that the slots, there are actually slots right here in the cut in the frame intentionally. So you can put an open end wrench in there to grab onto the nut. So what they did was, on the rear bolts, they have regular bolt heads up there that have to be held by this wrench. On the front corner over there, they've got a metal, square piece of metal that sits right in the boss, which is part of the motor mount, so that it can't turn. It doesn't have to be held, and you can just undo the bolt from the bottom. So you can completely remove that bolt without having to get on the any wrench on the top there. I don't remember about this front corner, but the problem is with this one right here, the rear one right here, we can't get the wrench on because this bar, which is part of the steering linkage, is in the way. So we're going to take the steering linkage off right there, drop that bar out of the way so we can get the wrench in there, and then we should be able to loosen that rear one. I also recall that now the reason why you have to flip this up is actually to get to the bolts, because this whole hood assembly and this front grille assembly comes off with 4 nuts and bolts that get removed. That all goes away, and that opens up the whole front so we can lift this motor up and pull it out. So we moved the steering linkage out of the way so we could get a wrench in to one of those slots. Keep going.
I need help.
Oh, what's the matter?
It's too stuck.
There you go. So we're going to take this whole front grille assembly off, which is going to be this piece, the cast front grille, this piece, and the hood. All comes off as an assembly. I already undid the push-on connectors that go to the back of the headlights, and then the wire feeds through a hole with a grommet right here, so we'll feed it back through there. Okay, so Mark's having a bit of a trouble getting this out. What's the matter? Just too tight?
No.
Because it's turning? Well, a couple things. You got no clearance here to move this wrench, so if you reach in here like this, see, bring it more over.
Okay, but excuse me.
You know, these are carriage bolts. They got like a rounded head, so you can't put a wrench on them.
I know.
But they got a square part, and they go into a square hole. So if they fall down far enough, they're not going to want to, You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
All right, so that one's loose. Let me loosen this one while I'm in here, just so you know.
Need the wrench?
Yeah, I'll just loosen that one, get it started for you. But don't take this last one out
Why?
all the way, because the whole thing will fall on you. The weight of the whole front end, you don't want to fall. The front grill's cast iron on this thing, or cast, I don't know, it's cast something. I don't remember if it's
I thought
iron
it was, what's it called?
Aluminum?
No.
Titanium?
No.
Magnesium?
What the boat's made out of?
Unobtainium?
What's the boat made? What's the
Fiberglass?
Yeah, I thought this part's made out of fiberglass.
No, this. Look,
Oh.
this.
Oh.
That's, I think that's cast iron.
So I'm ready to do the back part control bit.
See the muffler?
Oh yeah.
I like the little sound effect. Oh, like it's so heavy. Oh, woo, woo. Oh, yeah.
But no, this looks.
I mean, it was heavy enough that you don't want it to fall over and hurt you, but it's not like so heavy that it takes two of us to really lift it and make sound effects about. Oh my goodness.
doing it for you.
Look at, see that right there? That's the back of the starter. See it?
Yep. So now what with the motor?
Now what with the motor?
What do we do with the motor now?
Well, I got the front bolt out here, so look. Ta-da! Now you can get that wrench in. Hold on. All right, now that we got the grill off, you can get a really good look at what we were dealing with here. Here's the head of the bolt that holds the motor in. To get to that, there's a slot in the frame to put an open-end wrench in there.
Oh, open.
Ironically, now I could use a socket with an extension on that one, but on this side you can't get to it, even with this. The cylinder head's in the way. The cylinder heads are offset because this is a horizontally opposed design, so this cylinder is back far enough so you can get to that one, but you can't get to the rear one. And on this side, the cylinder is far enough forward so you can't get to the front one, but you can probably get to the rear one, except this cowling's in the way. So you put the wrench right through here to hold it. Now you put the ratchet underneath from the underside and take that nut off.
Yep, you can't do that.
Why not?
You have to put the ratchet on the side because this is too big for the. There's only small opening here.
Oh, because the steering is in the way?
Here you go. Was there extension?
I don't know if that extension is going to be long enough. You might need a longer one. Go ahead and try it.
Oh, it's fell off.
Yeah. All right, you got to do better than that, okay? I got to go check on the grill.
What are you cooking?
I don't know. Come on. The grill's hot. You can go right up and want me to cook. Mark, you know how you said that extension was plenty long enough? But the problem is, barely get any room in here to work. So out here we get all this room. So we need a nice long extension like this. The problem is, you see I can't go straight down. So you see that little special joint right there? It's a U-joint. Put that on there.
Just like on your backhoe.
Put that on there.
Tractor.
Put that on there. Now I can reach down in here, put this on here, right? And even from an angle, I can still turn it. See how much more room I got now to work with the ratchet? Huh? Fantastic, I tell you. All right, let's see. We got to lift up the front of the motor and pull it forward towards us, but a couple of things stopping that from happening are going to be this belt, okay? So what we want to do is we want to take these two belts off.
How?
Well, this right here,
I'll break it.
Can you use
this is a belt tensioner. See this?
Yeah.
This pulley is spring loaded. It's being pushed that way on these, it's pushing on the outside of these belts to keep them tight.
Yeah.
So if we push it that way, it'll loosen these up enough so that we can pop them off.
What size do you think that is?
Well, I don't want to unscrew it. Yeah, what we'll do is we'll unhook this spring. We're going to hook the spring. That will move out of the way. the belts will come off real easy. Well, Mark, while I work on trying to get that spring off to get the belts off. No, you see this shaft?
Yeah.
This drive shaft goes to a coupling up there that's bolted to the motor.
Yeah.
So you have to get these two nuts off that are way in there. You see?
Yep.
See this piece I got my fingers on?
Yeah, I see that.
See how there's a couple of nuts?
Yep.
See how there's 4?
Yeah.
You don't have to take all 4 off. You only have to remove the 2. You see the ones where there's like a part, like a circle cut out?
Let me see. Can you move your hand?
For a socket to go on there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Move
what you want to do is you want to find a deep socket that'll fit that. Try 1/2 inch first. Yep, that's the size. Okay. Actually, look, you can look down. Look, you can look down through this opening right here. See it?
Oh, yeah.
That's it. I'm gonna try and get these belts off. Ow! Oh, that hurt.
I'll move it.
I didn't even hit that. I just something in my back. The way I moved, it hurt. No, don't do that. Because if it slips off and your finger gets caught in there, whew. Well, then we're really here to scream. If we slide forward, do the bolt heads go into the big hole area? All right, so let's see if we can slide this whole motor forward. No such luck. Nope. You didn't take the front bolts out, did you?
What front bolts?
No, they're still in. We just took the nuts off of them. So when you go to slide this forward, that's what's hitting. So that
More back.
That should come up right there.
Push it back a little bit more. Right there, it should come up. Got a screwdriver?
It's not though.
There we go.
There's one. That one's not coming up.
My side's free.
Your side's free. See, this is what that threads into.
Yeah, I know.
And actually, I think I made that. I think I might have made that just to make my life easier when I was putting this back together. Maybe not. Okay, so now, I think now, actually, the cable is so short that goes to this starter that we have to take the cable, we have to disconnect the cable from the starter right here.
Where's the...
That's the back of the starter. This wire right here.
Yeah.
That's the cable. We have to take that nut off. So get me a 3/8 socket. Okay, disconnect the cable from the starter.
I got these cables all up here.
No. We'll worry about those in a minute. There's really only one wire going to the ignition system. Not a lot of wires on this motor. Big cable going to the starter. Ow. The ground cable here we can undo. So go ahead and grab a socket for that.
Which side? Go on,
Take that bolt off. Put it right back in that hole. Right back in that hole. I don't want any water going in there.
Do we need to tighten it all the way?
Not all the way, but
How we take
let's see if we even need to get that out.
There's tension on it.
Right now, I think it's the one on this side is still not coming up through the hole like it's supposed to.
Okay.
Now both sides are out. There we go.
Okay.
It's a heavy motor.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you want to use, do you have like a lift or something?
Well,
I really don't want to bring that back over here.
I really don't think we need to pull it all the way out.
Why?
If we could tilt it up on that side
Want me to
enough,
try?
we can get the starter
Or do you
out.
want me to grab?
No, it's all right. Let me do it. I don't want your hands to get pinched in there. There we go. That's it. Just like that. Now, you can see the starter.
Oh, brother.
You see all this
Mm-hmm.
crap over here? Let's get that on the camera. See all this crap right here? I get a feeling that's mouse nest. I think a mouse got in there somehow and made a nest.
Can I wipe it?
Because that's all, that looks disgusting.
Yep.
There's a bolt right there. Where's the other one now? Probably gonna take this cover off right here to expose that one.
What do we have to do? Take this off.
Yeah, that's not gonna be too bad.
Okay. Where is, what size? Half? Is that what-
No, try 7/16.
7/16.
I'm sorry, I meant 5/16.
Well,
Smaller than 3/8. Is that 3/8?
perfect. Yeah.
Is that 3/8?
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. You should have had the shorter socket on here anyways.
I don't know where that is.
Just broke that one.
What do you mean?
Snapped it.
Oh, shh, be quiet. So how are we gonna do that one?
Well, we don't have to now.
Okay, then.
Well, if you snap it, you snap it. This means that it was really rusty and we weren't gonna get it out.
Guess not. See?
Oh, spoke too soon. Snap that one too.
One more.
Which wouldn't be so bad, but that one's into the head.
Why?
Hmm?
Why?
Okay, take the spark plug. Oh, hold on. Oh yeah, huge mouse nest under there.
Ugh.
Disgusting.